I'm staring at the camera.
He's staring at the camera. Holy controversial sponsorships. This is Flight Check Season 3, Episode 7.
Oh,
We're
man.
back.
What a start.
Once again, I've got a fresh new jersey on. The camera's reversed, but it does read Sandy Toes, in case you can't tell. That is my name, as always. And to my left, and my extra left, are my fellow hosts, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Gentlemen, we've been gone. We took a week off last week, so we have a lot to catch up on. How are you guys doing?
Oh, yeah.
Nox, you did a little bit of a Nox Talks last week. Thank you for filling in for us on that one. But 2 weeks have gone by. FlyQuest still atop of the league, looking good, even with the loss to EG this past weekend. Playoffs have been locked, and that is crucial for step 1 of the FlyQuest World Domination train. Curly, how are you feeling about things now? We're sitting at 11-2, 5 games left to play. The danger always at this point in time is like, okay, we don't want to get complacent. So, how are you feeling about complacency in the FlyQuest camp, possibly?
Well, I don't think we're complacent. I think this week was definitely rougher than we would have liked to. It had been a lot more shaky moments, even in the CLG game, than you would like to see for a top-tier team. But at the same time, even in their loss to EG, some really bright, shining, good moments in, more of a struggle of a game. So I, as a fan, I would not say I'm complacent, but I'm happy even with the results of the week, because it's not like, oh, we fell apart. Oh, everything's awful. On Friday when I watched us lose, yeah, I was sad. But, in reviewing today, honestly, I'm comfortable. Not complacent, but I'm comfortable with the trajectory of this team, and especially because having seen what we were able to do with Winsome for half the split, which is kind of suddenly have to figure things out situation. That means the team is able to figure things out, Yeah. So I have faith in the players, faith in the coaching culture, and we're good. We're good. We're on a good trajectory.
Everything's good. Nox, how about you? Trajectory's still pretty strong. This is I don't want to say this is an early time to lock playoffs, but it does feel a little earlier than maybe we normally would see a playoff lock.
Yeah, technically by normal LCS standard, this is early. You don't typically see teams locking playoffs by week 6.
Yeah.
It's happened in the past, obviously, with teams like Cloud9 2020 Spring, TSM 2017, 2016, maybe even summer, I think, if I recall correctly. Stuff like that. It happens, but yeah, no, typically you don't see teams qualify this early on. So, if anything, that should be kind of a signifier of, how good this team is, because it's kind of a check mark or a benchmark of, hey, is this a good team? Yes. Granted, though, you can still have examples like Immortals back in 2017, who also went on that 17-1 streak, did qualify for playoffs back in, week 6, and then promptly dropped out of semifinals and the third place match very quickly. So, we're not out of the woods yet, but usually they're very good signifiers if you're qualifying this early, right?
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think ultimately the trajectory is good. I am, and we'll get into this more, obviously, we will be discussing the loss to Evil Geniuses later tonight, but I would rather take losses that we still kind of look good in and just use those as learning points. And frankly, this is probably one of the better times to take a loss than, say, Super Week, right? You don't want to lose too many games in Super Week because you want your momentum going into playoffs. So, week 6, that's a fine time to take an L. But we were gone last week, like I was saying, so it is time for us to check in for our flight tonight. And tonight, fellas, I am going to ask you for just one singular team that has stood out to you these past 2 weeks for good or for bad? And you cannot say 100 Thieves or...
Dude, what do you mean we can't take the cop-out answer, Sandy? Come on now.
You cannot say 100 Thieves, and you also can't say Team Liquid. So,
Damn.
I know. I've taken 2 of the easiest
How
answers
dare
away.
you.
So, pick me a team. Talk to me about a team that is still interesting narrative-wise for you guys. Knox, I'm going to let you answer first on this one.
I think for me, the answer then has to lie with Evil Geniuses. They had a pretty bad previous week to this week, and I kind of talked about it in Knox and like little Twitter spaces that I did with everyone. But for me, it was just like, man, they're gonna come roaring back to life. Like they're going to be mad, they're gonna be pissed off,
And
like,
of course, they had to play us that week too.
Yeah, of course, right? Like, you lose to Dignitas. Ayla's like clowning on you on Twitter, rightfully deserved, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
But then it's like, of course, the rift comes, and then we lose, and it's just like, oh, that sucks. But like at the same time, like, I mean, my pick'ems won't reflect this, but I forget who all was in the Twitter Spaces with me. But I was asked, and I did say like, what match is Fly most likely to drop? And most of the people in there were saying CLG, and I was like, I don't think it's CLG. The most likely one for us to drop a game to is going to be EG, and lo and behold, it happened.
Yeah.
So I think currently they're the most interesting narrative team right now because I think they look back in form and they look scary again.
Yeah. All right, Curly, how about you? And I really hope you don't pick the one team that I have in mind.
Well, for me, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to pick CLG. CLG has
He did not pick the team.
CLG has been a team that I've been paying attention to and always like curious about how they do every week. Because I'm going to be honest, I would say this is the most stable and consistent team in the whole LCS. Like even in their victories, even in their losses, like they are playing their game. They are finding opportunities to try and come back, even if it doesn't work out in the end. And culturally, this team, I think, is the closest. Like, they all vibe with each other so hard, no matter what happens. And honestly, they might be like, they're peeking into my top 3 favorite orgs out of nowhere, especially with some recent drama and underperformance from other orgs. And so, like, I just really like this squad because they're kind of like, you know, that cool guy that gets invited to every party just because no one has any beef with them, which is crazy because 2 years ago I would be like, I can never think of anything positive to say about CLG, and they had a whole big org turnaround. So like this team, always interesting to watch. I really think they can punch up a lot more in these last 2 weeks to get a potential top 4 seeding. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah.
My power picks or my preseason power rankings looking good. They're looking strong right now.
Yeah. Well, one team, and this is my team, the team that really shakes up anyone's preseason power rankings, Golden Guardians. And I really want to talk about this team for a moment because since week 3, they entered week 3 at 0-4. They have now played 9 games and won 8 of those. So they have done a whole, like, half a split worth of games and did exactly what FlyQuest did for the real first half of the split. 8-1. And they've gone all the way from 0-4 to 8-5. They're sitting comfortably in 4th place. You know, season ends today. They're in that upper bracket. They look really good. They did lose to TL on Thursday. But last week, they beat both Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses. Golden Guardians, people need to watch out for this team. They are not a pushover. This is probably, I would make the argument, the best Golden Guardians team in several years.
I would say ever.
That's also fair.
Even over 2020.
That is the only other one I am thinking about is the 2020 Golden Guardians that ended up becoming 100 Thieves, you know, just without Haunser. So I think, and if this Golden Guardians team continues to perform well, I think you can say, hey, they are absolutely the best Golden Guardians roster ever put together. And frankly, with those wins over Cloud9 NEG, this team, I believe, will be contesting for a spot at Worlds. If not a spot at MSI this year. Because I believe we can now get 2 spots, don't we?
We do, indeed.
I really do think that this Golden Guardians team could surprise and break through. Obviously would be taking second place to FlyQuest. By the way, how banger of a finals would a FlyQuest Golden Guardians finals be? Oh my gosh.
That would be amazing.
That would be so good. That'd be so fantastic. So that's my team that I am checking in on and watching throughout the week. By the way, drafted Stixay in Fantasy LCS. Woo! That boy popping off every single week. Looking real good. All right, let's get into week 6. We're going to talk FlyQuest versus CLG first. And let's be honest, not a lot to say on this one. Except for a few moments. Like, this game looked pretty well in hand. And I wasn't actually ever worried about it, even with the Baron steal and CLG starting to scale up a little bit. I still felt pretty good about us ending up winning it. I wasn't worried about that one as much, but do want to hand it over to you guys. So CLG kind of takes the scaling front. We see Palafox on the ASOL. Super cool. I still don't understand what this rework does for all the new abilities. I just see like this
really
huge
spicy
shockwave from time to time. I'm like,
and that's all you need to worry about.
That looks problematic. And he can make like a big dust storm, on the rift. That looks cool too. But Prince Spica actually was my standout player in this one. How about for you guys? What stood out in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this was the first game worldwide of ASOL being played, right? And it very quickly for the rest of the weekend became apparent, like, oh, this is very much a pick or ban champ. Like, there's going to be a lot of presence on this champion. I agree with you, Sandy. I think Spica was just absolutely immaculate. Completely blew this game out of the water, and the only reason why anyone was sweating at all was because post 25 minutes, the Aurelian Soul finally came online a little bit, and it was like, oh, okay, no, the game's actually a little even purely because of this one champion. And so, at the end, it didn't really matter all that much. But, I think overall I would agree. Spica just had a field day, played very, very well, got everyone ahead. Not much else you can really, truly ask for from Spica. Like, he just was a one-man show.
Yeah. Curly, how about you? Looks like Curly is a little frozen currently. I think for me, the Annie pick Nox was interesting. We have not seen a ton of, and I know this is a new patch, but not a ton of Annie mid. Mostly been a lot more of Annie support. I wasn't really a huge fan of it, if I'm being honest. And it felt much more like a supportive mid style that I don't really like seeing Vikla on. I love when he's able to really take control of the game. But I'm not sure totally how I feel about this Annie pick. It ends up working out, obviously, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on the Annie?
I mean, it makes the game very simple to play, right? It is a very ease of execution type champion. And I mean, I don't think it's something that you necessarily need to have for this FlyQuest team. I think we can play complicated champions. But I mean, at the same time, it's good to have under the belt, right? If you need to play against, like, say, an EG like we did on Friday, and they put up a little more fight, sometimes you do need a little bit more ease of execution to be able to pull things off. So I didn't mind it so much. Clearly needed a little bit of warm-up or maybe a couple more stage games on it, which is something I do want to get into, by the way, about scrims versus stage games, but we can get into that a little bit.
Absolutely.
But overall, I think I agree with you overall. I didn't really mind it. I was kind of hoping for a little more with it, but at the end of the day, I mean, the Annie did its job. It did exactly what it was intended to do.
Yeah, I agree. And I thought Ayla and Prince looked really, really good. Ayla's Rakan, 19 assists, by the way, and 1 kill. So 20 out of 23 on that kill participation. Tying, actually, with Spica, who had basically half the team's kills. 11 kills, no deaths, 9 assists. Absolute player of the game for me. He set up so many key early engages that really set the stage for this win, ultimately, because we were able to get so far ahead that I think if we had not gotten so far ahead, the CLG scaling would have caught up a little bit quicker, and maybe this turns into an 0-2 weekend. So getting ahead that fast, definitely key to this dub. Curly, I see you're back on the phone. Talk to me. Give me your thoughts on this CLG game. What was your big standout points?
Yeah, so you guys kind of already pointed out the two big players I think were definitely Spica and Ayla. Like, they were able to find so many really good engagements and just entrapments on the side of CLG, and just got lots of important picks that made it easy to get objectives like the Baron or the Drake, and it just was really, really good. And the amount of CC that they were able to let on, it was absolutely ridiculous. It's like, second Spica saw someone, boom, ulting, then following right in was Ayla, and then Ayla's knocking them right back up, and it's just so much. So it was really, really good. I do think we had some slip-up moments there where it wasn't just the ASOL coming online. Dokla definitely had some Olaf moments. Like, Dokla, I think, is someone that should be respected a lot in the top lane. He's really good at dueling and playing these champions that can do a lot of damage and sustain all at the same time. And so I'd say he was a bit more a thorn in our side than we expected him to be. But, you know, like, even at the end when we were going to win and it was 2v1 and it took a long time to take him down, and that was just to buff the stat.
Yeah.
But overall, I do think it was a really good game from FlyQuest, and I agreed with the getting started early. Like, getting ahead early made it pretty impossible for them to come back even when they had their windows of opportunity. So really good gameplay from FlyQuest.
Yeah, Nox, any further thoughts on this one? I think, do you feel like the ASOL was like, I mean, how did you feel about the ASOL pick here? Did you feel like it was good?
I think in general, the ASOL pick right now is absolutely deserving of its 90% pick ban rate. Damn you, Dignitas and Immortals, for not making my tweet accurate. But I think the champ is just busted, I think, personally. But at the same time, I think it's a healthy busted, if that makes sense, because you have to make it to the 25-minute mark. Right. If you have games like FlyQuest did, or I think the other good example was Cloud9, and whoever they played on that Thursday. I think it was 100 Thieves. Bjergsen played it, and they just got absolutely rolled, right? If teams can absolutely punish the other team for picking ASOL in the early game and run away with it, then, like, yeah, I think it's fairly balanced. But at the same time, if your team manages to survive, then you have every right to try and climb back. It's very much like a Kale pick, right? Except it's just in the mid lane now. And so I think overall I'm okay with it, but at the same time, it's very much deserving of its pick rate. So maybe that does mean it needs to be nerfed a little bit, but I guess I don't really mind the playstyle so much. Maybe after another week or two of seeing the constant pick bans, I'll be, okay, nerf this champ. I'm tired of it. But
yeah,
for the time being, I'm actually kind of okay with it.
Riot seems to love over-tuning champs on release or after rework. I understand the philosophy a little bit, where you want people to play the thing that you've made so that you can see, okay, how good is it actually, where can we bring it back to? Because you want the data of people playing it. So if you make the champ weak as hell and no one plays it, then what's even the point of doing the rework? But Yeah, sometimes some of these champs, when they wind up in pro being that 100% pick or ban status, or even like that 95+%, you start to wonder, like, okay, did we really need that flat 20 AD, buff on the queue? No, we didn't really need that.
We really did not.
Yeah. Maybe we'll tone it down a little bit. All right, Curly, any final thoughts on FlyQuest versus CLG before we move forward? Lovely.
No.
I see that head shake. We will move on. All right, unfortunately, we did take on another blank gaming team. This team was called Big Oil Gaming. We played them this week. Evil Geniuses. We didn't talk about this, but we're not really going to get into the I don't think we were going to get into the Danny stuff.
Go read Arch, go read Richard Lewis, go watch Thorn. All three of those together summarize it pretty well.
Yeah. So we're not going to really get into those things tonight. We should have discussed whether or not we would, but I didn't think we were planning to. So, but I do agree on go read Arch's article. It was very well done. Great journalism there. But we did end up playing EG, the fated Ayla versus Vulcan rivalry finally came to a head on Friday, and we did wind up taking the L. We got smashed in early game.
Mm-hmm.
That was a huge problem. And also, of course, the Garen into the Cassante. First LCS Garen. It has an infinite KDA, and it is 1-0 all-time in the LCS now. So definitely stuff to talk about there.
Moose hater appreciators are thriving right now.
Oh, absolutely. Curly, I know you were a little frustrated by an aspect of the draft.
Yeah.
And why don't you expand on that thought?
So the first thing I noticed is we first picked Aphelios and then used a second pick to get Sejuani, and let them take Thresh away. And I feel like that's just a little bit of a big question mark, because if you know Aphelios Thresh is the OP combo, why would you not draft them both together? Usually doesn't make sense. If you've got certain champs that just, bot lane duos that yep, this is it. You usually want to pick those back to back. And so we kind of get punished in the fact that they took the Thresh over on the side of EG, forcing us to be all right, what are we going to put with Aphelios? And I don't really think Lulu was the answer, I'm going to be honest. I don't see where it contributed much. So, yeah. And then, the Sejuani, I really don't think we're going to risk losing the Sejuani to EG there. So again, first pick, getting that in before the Thresh and letting them take the Thresh away was just a bit of a question mark for me.
Yeah, Nox, how do you feel about dropping the Thresh and not picking it up after first picking the Aphelios?
Yeah, it definitely seems like Fly greeted in the draft a little bit. So my thought process is, you see the B1 Varus, right? Very immobile AD carry, possibly going poke, depending on what you draft, could go on hit. Either way, is very much a sit there and either channel your Q or sit there and auto attack. Not a mobile AD carry. And so your next thought process is, what do you typically want to pair that with? Well, Thresh is a very big one because it helps him get out of sticky situations. Tom Kench is another one as well. So you being FlyQuest, you R1 and Aphelios. And the next best champion for him is also the exact same thing as Varus, in pairing him with a Thresh. So the Sejuani pick is very confusing to me, because while Inspired has a very good Sejuani, it is not super prevalent in my opinion, and is not should not be prioritized at this particular point in the draft. With having said that, though, after that, I really don't mind the Lulu. I think the Lulu is fine, but I'm also, as you guys very much know, a Lulu sympathizer. I'm a one-trick pony Lulu. It is what it is. But I do highly agree overall. I do think the Thresh should have absolutely been an R2 pick here. I don't know why we let it go back over to the EG side. And then to really hit the nail in the coffin, or hit the nail on the head, Ned on the head on the nail, whatever the phrasing is, the Gragas was the big thing this game for me. It wasn't the Garen. It was, I mean, FBI piloted the Varus very well. It wasn't the Thresh. It was just purely inspired Gragas. This thing was disgusting. I do not ever, not even if we have our own Thresh, I do not ever want to see Gragas on the enemy side if we have an Aphelios again. It was just terrible for Prince to deal with. Please, please, please do not let that ever happen again in draft.
Yeah.
That's kind of my general consensus overall.
Yeah, I thought, oh man, the other thing I didn't like about this comp was the Talia. I am not convinced by Talia in this meta right now. I'm gonna pull up Games of Legends and just see what her. Man, maybe I should have made this a beta. Great, that would have been good. But I'm just not convinced by Talia right now. And also, I felt the big issue that I had in this draft was how much of it was reliant on Prince to just completely 1v9 the entire game. Talia's not gonna do that. Cassante maybe, but he's not really acted in the pro scene as like the carry kind of threat
since week 1.
Yeah. Sejuani obviously no, and Lulu's his support, so that's not happening either. So you put all the eggs in the Prince basket, and as you saw with that final engage, where we're running down mid, trying to take a turret because we've kind of cut them off. They take out Prince. Our entire team fight is over. And that's one of my frustrations with...
That happens multiple times throughout the game, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just pointing out that one particular instance. It's just... I don't vibe with single threat comps. And this felt like a single threat comp that really lacked anything... like any big muscle behind the Prince. I thought Jojo looked really good on the Azir. Games of Legends,
he's absolutely insane.
Not working for me right now, so I cannot give you the Talia stats, unfortunately. But that was my big frustration. I did not like the Talia pick.
I will say, I mean, our one other loss was also to a Talia piloted by Maple. And the one thing I've kind of noticed that is a pattern in Talia wins is if you can get a snowball going, and it's very, very imperative that the snowball is going,
yeah,
you can use her map movement and her wall to begin cutting off sections of the map so that way you can get certain macro advantages. What happened in this game, though, is Inspired had a very, very good ward at like the 245 mark, which caught Spica out and prevented him from doing his normal jungle invade, and in turn also caught out Vikla's ward on the top side towards that little entry brush towards Spica's Raptors that allowed him to get that gank off. From that point on, EG just had consistent tempo advantage, and Vikla was never going to get the snowball going that he needed to get to start actually taking chunks of the map where he needed to. So that was kind of my thought process is like, yeah, if you can get this champ going, I absolutely see why it is a worthy R5 pick, but that clearly didn't happen in this game. And even though FlyPlus is now 11-2, and at that point in time like 11-1, FlyPlus has had some sus early games. Like it's not a guaranteed thing that you're going to have the snowball going for you, which is why I agree overall, Sandy, that I think there were better R5 picks here, but I'm also not like complaining about it.
Yeah, I think obviously the big issue in this game was the early game. And you're right. Yeah, there have been some suspicious, or sus, as the kids say, some sus early games. And, yeah, the Garen just bullied out impact on the Cassante. He could
I mean,
not lane against that champ.
look,
It is a good counter.
Garen is the biggest pain in the ass for any top laner ever. I have lost so many top lane games to Garen because of everything that happened there. Like, if you saw how much movement speed he has, not only can he chase you down, but if you are the slightest threat to him, he will get the hell away from you and you can't chase him down. It's like, I'm going to run in, unload a bunch of damage. You might be able to get one thing on me, but I'm going to cleanse it with my Q and get the frick out of there. So it's like, it's ridiculous. And it's like such a simple champion that, of course, no one would ever pick it in a pro game. And yet here it is.
Right.
And then you give him a gun.
That was
now he can.
That was one of the funniest things that I saw for in that game when Meteos just goes, "Hey, take a look at the Garen build right now," and Kobe and Vlados goes, "Oh my God, it's a rapid fire cannon! They gave Garen a gun." That was absolutely hilarious. It's like
actually,
it's like that video of the kid that the mom goes, "Hey, what do you got there?" A knife! No!
That is one of my favorite vines. I love that vine.
Hey, Garen, what do you got there? A gun! No! Yeah. So.
Garen goes screaming off around the Summoner's Rift map.
Right.
Oh, someone has to animate this now, please.
Spinning around. Yeah, if you have the GIF ability to make our dreams a reality, I will pay you $5 on Venmo if you make this. So. All right. Other thoughts on this game? I've got a bit more of an existential thought, but I want to let you guys get your thoughts in first.
I mean, my thoughts when I rewatched the VOD today are actually, even though there were draft problems, even though Garen was a menace, even though Vikla got bullied into the point of not being existent really quickly in the game, we still had some really good moments. Like, we managed to have a little bit of pushback. The Baron steal was absolutely beautiful, and I think, like, that has something that we can take merit from. It's like, all right, even in probably the worst game we've ever had, we somehow managed to make it look good in certain moments, and I'd say we're even coming back. Like, if we didn't overextend in that moment and just go all in out of nowhere, because we're like, yeah, we can definitely win this fight, and then suddenly get baited into losing it, yeah. I think there's a world where we managed to squeeze out a surprise win out of this game because of the patience and the intelligent macro plays,
Yeah.
Because Prince was coming online. Cassante was becoming a menace. We were making really good picks. So I think the team's going to take a lot of notes of what went wrong here. Might even respect a Garen ban here or there, but you have to predict, all right, who's actually going to do this crazy thing. And just go next, Yeah,
you just go next. Yeah, I think my thinking about this game is just that, like I said at the start of the show, if there was ever a good time to take a loss, this would be it. Week 6, you're still 11-2, you've locked playoffs. This is a good opportunity for you to sit down and go, hey, all right, what went wrong? Okay, clearly our early games are not that great at times. We do end up winning out in the mid-late, which is fantastic, but this is an area of the game where we need to lock it down. And when you have a clear issue that you have legitimate, like, hey, here's stage VOD material for us to review and for us to look at, I think that goes a long way towards improvement. So my hope would be this is an instance where the team can go, all right, we've learned, let's take it to the next level, focus on our early games, and just really come out and smash in that realm for the next few weeks, because you're going to need early game. You can't just be a mid-late team. Because eventually, if you only play for mid-late, you will get smashed in the early game like we did against EG. Curly's disappeared. I am now Curly. And hopefully
I think he's rejoining on his computer.
I think he's rejoining on the computer. And there he is. All right. We're back to the computer. Most excellent. He's so bright, so washed out. All right, so that is week 6 in the books. Week 7 up next, and it's time to discuss how we think those games will go.
Really quick,
Yes.
can we just very quick discuss scrims versus stage games? Because I want to point something out that I've heard in various interviews.
No, yeah, go ahead, please.
I don't know.
I
if
know
Curly knows
exactly what you're
I'm
going to talk about. I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
So there's been a couple of interviews recently from various other members of other teams. C9's Ven being one. There was someone from not Evil Geniuses, Golden Guardians. I think it was an Arrow, who have been back-to-back weeks said that they have not lost a single game of scrims to FlyQuest, which I thought was very interesting. And then on top of this, Fika also mentioned on the broadcast that our current win-loss percentage in scrims is less than 50%.
Yikes.
Yet...
He didn't say it, but he alluded to it.
No, he kind of did. Did you not hear it? Like, he whispered it.
All right.
You can hear it. Like, go back and listen to it. I'm not even joking. Like, all of you, like, pause this, go look up that VOD. You can hear it at the very end as the camera's, like, pulling out. It's like, it's less than 50%. But all this considering is we have a team who's currently winning less than 50% of their scrims, and then you also have Inero and Sven both saying that this team plays completely different on stage. That they are a whole different monster one on stage. What are y'all's thoughts on that? I'm very curious.
Curly, you want to go first, and then I'll tackle it.
Oh, yeah, sure. Get out the int and scrims. Limit test. See what you can do. See how crazy you can go. And see, all right, where did I go too far? So you can then keep pushing the envelope and bring it to a really clean game on stage. Like, if you are constantly trying to do the craziest shit ever in scrims, if you are constantly all in, if you are applying so much pressure that you then make yourself vulnerable, you can learn how to make it work. So yeah, sure, run it down in scrims. It's crazy. Like, you don't need to win scrims. You need to learn from them. So yeah, keep it up. I want a 40% win rate in FlyQuest so we can have the best stage game ever.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so here's my thoughts. I think as long as we are learning something from taking the L's in scrims, then that's fine. I think it is... Maybe I'm a bit more concerned about, you know, a less than 50% win rate in scrims. That's a little bit of a concerning number for me. But ultimately, the issue with scrims is that they're so fluid. They're such a fluid thing.
And they're not accurate to stage games.
They're not, and I don't want to call them meaningless, because, like, they're not. They hold a lot of meaning. You do learn a lot, you know, but at the end of the day, your environment in a scrim versus being on a stage, your mindset in a scrim versus being on stage. So many scrims, you're like, all right, we're focused on doing this today. We're trying to learn this. While in stage, you're like, all right, we're going to do our best thing, and we're going to crush it, and we're going to execute these plays that we've been practicing all week. Like, if you have some pre-planned things, and it's like, you know, Coach Song walks in with this brand new, like, hey, here's this jungle path that I want you to take, Spica, and then you're going to gank at 5 minutes, and yada, yada, yada. And they run that 10 times in scrims and mess it up, you know, 6 of those times, and they lose those scrims. So, okay, they've got a 40% win rate, but then they bust it out on stage, and it works. You know, oh no, we had a 40% win rate with this play in scrims. but then they practiced it, a dozen times. So they learned what not to do. I mean, that's what practice is for. Scrims are literally for practice. It's not meant to be an accurate reflection of what you do when you get out on the stage. In the same way that, like, in baseball, batting practice, right? Batting practice is not an accurate representation of the pitch you're going to be thrown when you step up to the plate. Batting practice...
You mean I'm not just hitting grand slams every single game, Sandy? What do you mean?
No, batting practice, you're stepping up, you're getting thrown like a ball at, 50, 60 miles an hour, and you're jacking it as far as it can go. You're just, like, absolutely smashing that ball. But then when you step into the plate, in the first inning, runners on first and second, 2 outs, and the pitcher throws a 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the inside corner. Oh, that wasn't in the scrims. That wasn't in my practice. No, because practice is not an accurate reflection of what you're actually doing. It's to get you locked in. It's to get you the repetitions. It's to get you warmed up, fresh, in the competitive environment. So, I'm not concerned. That was that was a rant, wasn't it? That went all over the place.
You see why I do it all the time now, Sandy? It feels good to get it out.
It feels
right?
good. Scrim results are meaningless, except for sometimes. 60% of the time, scrim results are meaningful every time. So, that's my take.
Except for Samsung Galaxy back at Worlds.
Yeah.
Yes. I mainly just wanted to ask because it's very interesting to have this parallel that I don't think has ever really been seen in the league before of a team that has such bad scrim win rates but has such good on-stage win rates. I think it's a first, but maybe I'm not remembering a team. But I thought it was something interesting to touch on real quick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Completely agree. All right, it is now time to get on over to Week 6 predictions. Week 7 predictions. Pardon me.
We are 3/4 of the way through the regular season for spring.
Man, we're just on
Time flies.
Time fly quests. All right. TL is the Thursday game. We've got them on Thursday. What time? If I can find my link. Oh, did I? No, I did not.
It's got to be one of the earlier ones, I'm assuming.
Oh, it probably is. I almost guarantee it. Hey, Knox, guess what time our game is on Thursday?
I'm going to put out there, it is a 5 p.m. Eastern start.
Hey, congratulations. You win the flight check points tonight on that one. It is indeed...
I'm going to Disney World.
It is indeed a 5 p.m. start. All right, let's talk Team Liquid. I told you guys that you could not use them as your check-in team. Last week, they go 1-1. They beat Golden Guardians, which at this point I would consider an upset, and then lose to TSM. It was their second 1-1 week in a row after their 0-3 Super Week. And then, Week 5, they had beaten Immortals and lost to 100 Thieves. So they are tied for 7th. 1 game out of playoffs. They are 5-8, tied with 100 Thieves. This team continues to not impress me. This team continues to feel like just another TL experiment gone wrong. And I'm not too particularly concerned about beating Team Liquid this week. Curly, how about you? What's your thoughts on Team Liquid right now?
Easy dub.
Easy dub. Knox, how about you?
I'm not going to say easy. I will say it's a dub. Keep in mind, this Team Liquid team did take down Golden Guardians, and I do think Golden Guardians are a respectable team. And we're also coming off of a loss. So I don't know how the guys are feeling exactly. Typically, I would like to think that means we want the revenge match. We're pissed off, which is why I'm saying that we're getting the W, but I don't think it's necessarily easy. This Team Liquid team is never someone I'm going to say, oh yeah, they should just roll over and die.
Here's the thing. is a good mental as a player is you go next. You don't let the losses bring you down. So coming off a loss means nothing to me. The second thing is I feel like we have a bit of an advantage in the bot lane in the fact that Jan and Ayla played together last year. So in some hypothetical way, Ayla should have some insight as to Jan's weaknesses as a player. And then also TL vibes just seem kind of off anyway, whereas Fly vibes, always pretty good. Always pretty good. So yeah, that's why I'm saying easy dub.
There you go. Yeah, I think for me, I just have not been, like I said, not been impressed with Team Liquid this year. I do think there are times where they could show up and show out and really put together a quality game, but I just think we have the advantages in every position right now. Like, legitimately every position I think we are better in. Summit. My prediction is Summit, again, only lasts one split in NA. I think I would not be shocked to see him gone.
I wouldn't be surprised
after
either.
spring ends. Especially if they don't make playoffs. If they don't make playoffs, absolutely. All right. Immortals. Oh, boy, this team. Sitting there at 3-10. They beat Dignitas in the Battle of the Basement.
One of the craziest games ever, by the way.
Yeah, I still need to go back and watch that. And then they lost to Golden Guardians the next day. 3-10. They did make a little bit of a change. So Balulu is now in as their mid laner. Is he in permanently? And
yes, Ablazal has stepped away for unknown reasons and is gone indefinitely. And so Balulu is now the permanent starter for the Immortals team. And to the absolute wonderful news of Reddit mod Tom Shu, Yusui has been picked up by Immortals challengers for the remainder of the NACL playoffs.
Of course.
Nice.
I'm sure he will be tuning into what's it called? Hotline League tonight to
I have a strong feeling he's going to be making an appearance on Hotline League.
Oh, absolutely.
All
right.
He's going to damn well try.
All right, so Immortals. Does anyone want to take the risk of predicting Immortals beating FlyQuest? Is this a trap game? Any chance of a trap game here?
So, you know how I said the Team Liquid one I refuse to say is an easy game? I'm going to say this is the easy game.
Ah,
you can
this
put
is
me
the
down for
easy
a fly
game.
win.
Yeah, I'm also putting myself down for a fly win. Curly, how about you? Oh, can't do that apparently.
Yeah, it's why would you expect me to predict anything else?
You know, it's getting a little old. I make these graphics almost every week for the Twitter account, of our predictions, and every week I'm just changing out what team we're beating, and I'm just leaving FlyQuest as boom, 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 boom. Except for last week where I
was gonna say, give yourself some credit. You did have to change it last week, and you earned it.
I did pick. I got some heat. I got a little bit of Twitter heat for picking Evil Geniuses to beat FlyQuest last week, and then it did happen. It's not helping me in my FlyQuest Discord pick'ems. I am still sitting at like 22nd or something like that.
I'm doing really solid in pick'ems. I'm mad though that I missed my streak of consistently having 7 out of 10 games. Very disappointed.
I also may be doing okay in FlyQuest pick'ems.
Yeah, you're literally tied for first.
Oh, you're tied for first? I didn't even look that close.
Ridiculous.
God dang it. I'm only 3 points behind you. One perfect week, and I close that gap. Super week. I'm kicking you out.
Tough times.
Yeah, pick'ems has been okay, I guess. Whatever.
Yeah, no big deal. All right.
Where did you get it? Where did you get the script?
I think he writes it himself. Actually, that's part of being the.
Yeah, it is rigged. In case y'all didn't know.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's just how it works. I run the pick'ems. I can put myself in first. That's just how it goes.
Indeed.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so time to talk some fantasy LCS. The Flight Check Fantasy Update. We are in playoffs, folks. Curly and I have sunk to the consolation bracket.
Wait, we're already in playoffs?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness.
That is how it is. Even though I had a valiant last couple weeks, I finished at 5-7, one game behind both Edgyhoon and Ricebox, who finished at 6-6. TMB, friend of the show, first place. Knox War at second. Curly and I tied for fifth. Then Hooley, and then Summer Champion Road, all the way at the bottom at 3-9. So
TMB managed to 2-0 me on the very last week.
Yeah.
Freaking tenacity cost me hard.
Yep.
Dude. I think he only got me 10 points in total for the whole week. I was only 20 points off of beating TMB. If I had any other top lane, I'm not even joking, any other top laner this week, I would have beat him and I would have been fine. But happens.
It happens.
I'm just glad you let me trade Ricebox for Diplex / Jimenez. I would have had Bjergsen. It would have been even worse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, tough. All right, so week 7, semifinal matchups are TMB and Ricebox, and then Knox War versus Andrea, a.k.a. Edgyhoon, and then in Constellation, it's me versus Road Roller, and Curly versus Hooley. I do have to note, I am going to brag on myself really quickly because I'm in that Super League with a bunch of other content creators. So Live Evil, Delfino, Dr. Respawn, David Shynook, a couple other like fantasy folks, and I did make playoffs in that one. I went
jealous
4-2. My team is Impact, Closer, Jojo, Stixay, Poom. Although I have a secret weapon incoming.
That's a pretty good roster. That's a pretty good roster.
I have a secret weapon incoming for this week. I'm looking to make a
Please tell me it's a jungle swap.
I am looking to make a jungle swap.
Okay. Who
no,
we got?
I doubt. I really doubt any of those people are watching right now or have gotten this far in the VOD. I am gonna try to get Boogie and drop Closer.
Okay.
I think it's
he came in clutch for me against Andrea.
So
I was like this close, and then he popped off and made me. Whew.
I think if I do that, like, I mean, so think about this roster: Impact, Boogie, JoJo, Stixay, and Golden Guardians. 8-1 in the last 4 weeks, and then Poom at support.
All top 6 roster right there. Like that is good.
That is great. Yeah.
I think that's a pretty fire roster. So that's where we're at. Fantasy LCS playoffs. 2 weeks left of that, and we will. I know I promised some reward to whoever wins. I forget what it was, but we will get that reward to that person. All right, last topic of the night. It's Nox's time to shine, but it is, I did watch FlyQuest Challengers. I have been keeping up fairly decently, actually, with the season so far. They are on the upswing. They bring in Winsome, and lo and behold, this team actually is just on fire now. Nox, they have a 3-1 week this week in Week 7 to close out NACL play. Last week they went 4-0 after a tough 1-3 in Week 5. So basically they just went 7-1 in their final 8 games. And they went
1-7 prior to that, by the way, so complete inverse.
Yeah, so they went from 11-11 and like 10th place to 18-12 and 7th place ahead of TL Challengers. And then maybe, I don't know, if Golden Guardians Challengers gets 2-0'd by Wildcard later tonight, maybe we bump up to 6th place. Who knows? But that is where things are at. Masu. Oh my god. He
looking cracked.
Very cracked after the move to LA. Things look real good there. And yeah, he looks so much better. Winsome really making this team look even stronger. I think we called that was going to happen, but great to see that it did. What's been really standing out for you these last few weeks for Fly Challengers, and then we'll tackle FLYFAM at the end?
Just the bot lane in general. Masu, the moment he's on 4-ping, is just a completely separate, different beast. His movement is insane. I just cannot give this guy enough praise. I'm sure, he's still super young. It's still one of his first times being in such a competitive environment. I'm sure he still has tons to learn. But the way he operates team fights, the way he's operating lane phase currently is just, at least for the level of the NACL, he's immediately skyrocketed to be one of the best ADs in the league. It is absolutely just mind-blowing. And I'm not going to say that Fly Challengers was sandbagging or anything, but you could tell that the team just started playing different the moment that he arrived actually in the facility, and the moment Winsome joined this team. Like, I don't know what changed exactly, but it was just like, okay, we're tryharding. Like, we're going to just cruise up the rankings. If I'm any other team, I'm very nervous for this FlyQuest roster going into playoffs. I'd be very scared. So yeah, no, I'm thrilled with how the team ended the regular season, and I think, pending no further changes, I think our first matchup should be Immortals Challengers for the first round.
For FlyQuest.
Yeah, for FlyQuest Challengers. The first matchup for FlyQuest Challengers should be against Immortals Challengers, who we just played today, and the one loss of the 7-game streak came from Immortals because we let Bolulu Zoe through.
But they will be
Bolulu
playing with
will not
Yusui, yes.
Yeah, he will be playing with Yusui whenever playoffs starts.
Yep.
So, lot of variables there, but pretty much all the variables I think are pointing in FlyQuest Challengers' favor, right?
Yeah.
So keep an eye on this team, especially keep an eye on Masu. Dude, I'm just so excited for this guy.
I don't know how the tiebreakers work. If Wildcard... No, sorry, that doesn't work either. I was about to ask if Wildcard 2-0'd Golden Guardians Challengers, that would make Golden Guardians 18-12, but then Wildcard would just bump up to 19-11, and they would be in 6th place, so that it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, so just for anyone who is listening, the way tiebreakers do work for the NACL, it is by game count. It is not by series, it is by game count. So if you're currently, for instance, for example, I'm not sure how this is going to shake out exactly, but there is a 3-way tie for third right now amongst 100 Challengers, Cincinnati Fear, and CLG Challengers, because they're all 19-11.
And they're all 6 wins, 7 draws, and 2 losses. So
exactly. And so the next tiebreaker after the game count is series count, who has the most amount of 2-0s. I don't know what the third tiebreaker is after that, though. So there may or may not be tiebreakers after the games that are going on right now. Keep an eye on that after the stream is done if you're listening live. If not, I guess go check the results.
Also, one other note for NACL, FLYFAM did get a dub tonight over Team Liquid First, and they've had a couple other dubs recently.
They've been improving.
They have been looking a lot better. They got a win over Immortals Challengers, which was huge to see.
Definitely the biggest win they've had all season long.
And then also a win over TSM Challengers. They did get 2-0'd by AoE Gold, but now they're guaranteed at least a draw with Team Liquid First. And I believe...
I don't think they do. They're 3 games back on TL first.
No. Tonight they're guaranteed a draw with Team Liquid First.
Oh, I see. Yeah, My bad. Sorry.
And I believe they will be slotted in to play Dignitas Challengers no matter what.
Yep.
So that's going to be a tough draw for them. I'm sorry. That's a very difficult one. So hopefully they can either pull off the upset or the lower bracket looks really good. They're in the middle of an engage right now. I think they just won the engage. Lunacia is going in on Aspect. They got a 2-0. Lunacia is about... Oh, he got him! Oh, that was a 4-0. 4-0. Okay. And they all of a sudden have a 2,000 gold lead. So, FlyFam looking real good. Hey, a 2-0 to end
Wow.
the season would be a real good way to close things out. Knox, what have your thoughts been on FlyFam recently? Had a lot of roster shuffles, but now we've kind of settled in on this Lunacia, Blaze, not Blaze, Lunacia, Instinct, Hyper, Blaze, Sword lineup. Do you feel like Hyper has really made this team better? Because they've just been looking good, or is it just like finally we've gotten enough reps in that we can figure our stuff out?
I do think part of it is strength of schedule. Keep in mind that we play the two wins that we just recently got, as well as this one, all come from like literally bottom of like the barrel teams. Like Immortals Challengers is not really that great. TSM Challengers is really not that great. Team Liquid First is only one place above FlyFam in the standings. Part of it is definitely strength of schedule. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
However, after Goo stepped away, stepped down, whatever you want to call it, there were some roster shuffles in the jungle trying to figure out what we wanted to do, and then FlyQuest worked out a deal with the amateur org Supernova and acquired Hyper. And I think what's basically happened since then is because Hyper was in the academy scene for so long, he really does have that veteran voice and understanding of how to play at this level of the NACL. And that has really helped turn this team around and has like a direction for this team to play through and play on. And I think you've seen the evidence of what can happen when you have someone actually being able to lead this team properly. If you look back at like some of the other games, like the players individually can have smart moments, but like there was just really no cohesion or macro play. And holy crap, Lunacia just had a 2v1. I'm sorry. But at the end of the day, I think just Hyper has been the voice that this team needed. That Goo and Megidus and Maniac were just never really able to truly provide. So hopefully what ends up happening is I don't really have high hopes for them going against Dig Challengers, who they're pretty much guaranteed to slot against at this point.
Right.
But I do think that there is a possible optimistic lower bracket run that could happen. And, I mean, let's be honest here. AoE is definitely, like, fallible. I know we just lost 0-2 to them. Wildcard has not been looking as well lately. There is a world where FlyFam could sneak into that top 2 provisional slot in terms of provisional teams. It's not off the docket. It's not impossible.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Definitely keep an eye on the team. I think they're going to 2-0 here. It'll be their first 2-0 of the season. I think that's going to be great for them and their confidence going into playoffs. So keep an eye on them.
Nice. No, I'm definitely excited for the tournament coming up. It's going to be really good to see. Curly, any thoughts on Fly Challengers or FlyFam going forward as we literally close out the regular season tonight?
Haven't been able to watch as much as I would like to because, I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I'll be able to watch more. And then I picked up an internship that takes up all the time that I would have to watch Fly Challengers. But I think the record's shown for itself. I like to see this team improve. And I'm really confident going forward with both squads. I think despite the shaky season that FlyFam has had, we're making a good, step in the right direction. So, yeah, love to see it.
Nice. Alrighty. I think that is pretty much everything we've got. Final topics from you guys. Anything you want to touch on?
I think in general... No, actually, I don't have anything. I'm just bullshitting.
All right, there we go.
Never mind.
All right. Well, I think it's time then to possibly close out the show. Hey, before we do want to thank some friends who subbed with their Prime subs tonight. Really appreciate it. Both Sandwich for the 5 months and Old Saggy Sack for the first month. Just the 1 month. But hopefully there's more to come. So, that'd be great. We're up to 4 subs concurrently right now. Incredible. We're doing numbers, folks. Absolutely massive. All right, thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of Flight Check. Week 7, it's back. Once again, FlyQuest playing the first game of the day versus Team Liquid on Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Immortals, I believe, at 6 p.m. on Friday, although could be flexed around depending on what's going on. Be sure to follow us on Twitter for all our instant reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Nox at NoxWar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Please make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion and otherwise takes place. And if you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning, and we'll get the Spotify audio up tomorrow or Wednesday as well. If you're watching or listening to those and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Curly, any final notes, shoutouts, or plugs before we wrap up the evening?
Shout out Nox for picking up last week, having a good Nox talk, making sure
Thank
there's
you,
always
thank you.
Flight Check content occurring. Yeah, big fan of that. And I think that's about it this week, you know? Kind of a slow week in terms of the shoutouts.
There you go. Nox, how about you?
I will not be here next week. I will be in Colorado attending my fiance's sister's wedding. So
all the weddings.
Yes, lots of it is wedding season, folks. A lot of coupling happening.
March. It's March.
Having said that, though, Curly and Sandy will still be here, and I guess with a little bit of a teaser, there may or may not be someone joining them. That is not me. I will leave it at that, though.
Yes. Definitely not NoxWar. It's just Nox with a mustache and a pair of fake glasses.
No.
No? Oh, I was really hoping for definitely not Nox. It's the new skin line.
That'd be a good one.
It's the new Nox skin.
We can maybe arrange something. We'll see.
All right. Here's my question for you guys.
Beautiful.
If you could, like, have a version of yourself that's like a skin line from like any League of Legends skin line, what would you pick?
Oh, that is such a tough one.
I know. Isn't that a good one? That's our closeout question for the night.
Oh, man.
You know what?
Why would you do this to me?
I got the answer. 2004, 8-year-old Nox, like Final Fantasy video games, custom Robo video games, like all that kind of stuff. Like, I want the Empyrean skin line. Like, just let me be this edgy little guy running around all like shadow and neon colors. I think it'd be super fun.
Nice. I think I would go with it would have to be Project Sandy Toes. Oh boy.
Oh wait.
That would be
I'm
sick.
silly. That's not hard. I've been thinking about it for the past week, and I just had, you never have something where you have an answer, but the second someone asks you, you forget all of it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Star Guardians.
Star Guardian Curly.
Is just sitting right there.
It's right there. It's an easy answer, folks.
I literally tweeted about this last week. I listened to, the Porter Robinson song, every other day.
Yeah. Well, there it is.
Yeah.
Super easy. All right. Well, that's also my shout out, my plug is real life League of Legends skins for real people. I think Riot should get on that and make that a thing. So, with all that said, we will be back next week, at least Curly and I will be, to discuss week 7 of LCS.
Along with Machine Gun Kelly.
Sure. And also the dragon from the world's finals that one time when it flew around the arena. That guy. He'll be on the show too. So for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys. And FlyFam just 2-0, baby. Let's go.
Woo! On that note, peace, y'all.